Hi everyone, welcome back to ELEARNINGBLINUX. I hope you guys are doing good and staying safe. So this one was the most awaited video on my channel and now the wait is over. Finally, today I am going to cover the roadmap of data engineering for the freshers. This one is going to be the best video for you because I have break down the things till the very lower level, including all important tech stack frameworks and important things which you need to cover. So even if you are a fresher like who is in the college, if you are an entry level fresher who has just started his and her career into the IT industry, or if you are someone who is working in different domain, want to make his and her career into the data engineering domain, then this roadmap will definitely help you a lot. So make sure you watch this video till then so that you do not miss any important topic or any important part of this roadmap. And your responsibility is to like this video because your one like motivates me a lot to come up with good content every week, and your one like will push this video in the recommendation so that other people will also get benefited because of this roadmap. Before jumping into the main part guys, I would like to clarify few things. First, do not mix up the things together because I know people have lots of confusion about different domains, different fields in the big data domain. They sometimes mix up the things like data engineering, data science, machine learning, data analyst, all these profiles together. So this roadmap dedicatedly going to be about data engineering, but it is also true like few of the things which I will cover in this roadmap, it will help you in other data domain profiles as well. But this roadmap completely dedicated for the data engineering domain. If you have some confusion, I have covered this thing in my previous videos where I have clarified the differences between the job profiles. You can check that out. Second thing, whatever important resources which I have followed to cover these things, these tech stack, these frameworks, these important topics, I will put it in the description box. So make sure you check the description box as well, and I will keep on updating this description box time to time so that you are updated with the latest resources. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you are updated with all the latest videos on the eLearningBridge. Last and the very important part, after watching the video, if you have still any kind of doubt, feel free to put it in the comment section. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, on Instagram. You can also join the Telegram channel and the Discord server which I have created. I am highly active there and keep on responding your questions. So don't forget to join there. So now quickly move on to the main part, the roadmap. Okay guys, so let's start. The first and important thing, programming language. So as you can see, I have listed down three important languages: Python, Scala and Java. As a fresher, as a college student, you will have this doubt that I am good with C, I am good with C++. But if you are someone who is looking forward for this data engineering domain, then you need to drop that idea. Means you have to be very good with these mentioned languages. But my recommendation would go with Python because in that way other opportunities will also be open for you, because Python is the most demanding language in this data domain. So this one is going to be really fruitful. And for the Scala, that is also a very good option to start with because like different companies are even asking for it. And yep, you have Java as well. If you apply for a data engineer role, then language is not barrier there. Like you are always free to choose your language to code the things and to respond any question. But as a recommendation, I would definitely say go with Python because it is going to open many other opportunities for you. Okay guys, so let's move on to the next part of this roadmap, that is understanding of operating system and scripting. Because most of the time you will be working on these machines, so you should have a good understanding like how to operate there, how to run different commands, how to work on file system, something like that. So that's why it's very important to know. Let's move on to the next one, that is the most often asked question, because people used to ask me this question like, as a data engineer, are we supposed to know data structures, algorithms as well, whether we should cover advanced topics of DSA? For that, my answer is yes. Understanding of DSA is going to play a very important role, but the advantage with this data engineering profile is that like nobody is going to ask you very advanced level of questions of DSA, like very high level of questions of DSA, and they do not even expect you to be very good competitive programming, but at least they want you to have a very good understanding of DSA's basic data structures and algorithms. So as you can see, I have mentioned like data structures, algorithms, average level, like no hard level, and within this one you need to at least cover these topics like arrays, strings, linked list, queues, tree, graphs, dynamic programming, searching, sortings. So these are very basic things, like we have studied these things in our college curriculum. So having a very strong fundamental of this DSA part, again very important for this field. So that's how you can plan your stuff for the DSA, by keeping these thoughts in your mind. And I have mentioned few good websites in the description box as well, from where you can practice these things. Now let's move on to the next part, that is core basics of DBMS, database management system. So this one is very important, and you can treat it as a backbone of this big data domain, because as a data engineer this is going to be the important part of your tech stack and your assigned tasks as well. That's why you should have a very good understanding of the basics of database management and system, and their important things which needs to be covered, like DDL, DCL, DML, integrity constraints, data schema, basic operations like joins, group by, order bys, ACID properties, transactions, concurrency control, deadlock, indexing, hashing, normalization forms, views, stored procedures, ER diagram. So please be focused on the DBMS part as well. So let's move on to the next one, that is SQL writing. And again, it's a very important thing. As a data engineer, you will be working on the data side, you will be exploring the data. So to explore the data very well and to check different things and to perform the business logics, you should have a good understanding of SQLs as well. So in the transactional databases, you should have a good understanding of either MySQL or Postgres. Or if I talk about some important operation which you should know in the SQL scripting, that will be like all types of joins, inner, outer, left outer, full outer, nested queries. In the interviews definitely they will ask you, and even when you will be creating those data pipelines, sometimes you need to write those business logics in the complex SQL queries. So that's why understanding of complex queries, nested, subqueries, it is also again very important. Group by operation, most important. Next one, use of case when statement. Last and not the least, very important, window functions in the SQL. This is the very important topic, guys, and you will be using in day-to-day life very frequently these window functions while writing the SQL scripts, and even in the interview questions it is going to be the very important topic. Let's move on to the next part of the roadmap. Yes, basic terminologies in big data. So guys, we all know, I mean, when we start reading something, or when we start any particular topic, or when we start learning something new, so it's recommended that we should have some sort of overview about that particular thing. So that's why knowing some basic terminologies of big data is very important, because these things will come again and again when you will cover different frameworks or different tech stacks. So that's why knowing these things, these basic things, is very important. So what all things you need to cover, here you go. Like, what is big data, 5 V's of big data, what is distributed computation, most important, distributed storage, because this is the core of the data processing. We should have a good understanding like how we are going to process the data, large amount of data in parallel nodes, in parallel machines, how we are going to store the data in distributed nodes, distributed clusters. So that kind of understanding is very important. Vertical versus horizontal scaling, commodity hardwares, what is clusters, different kind of file formats. This is very important, like CSV, JSON, Avro, Parquet, ORC, and types of data in this big data domain, like structured, unstructured, semi-structured. So these are the ABC of big data domain. So you should have a very good understanding of these as well. So let's move on to the next one, and that is data exploration libraries. So in the first part I talked about the programming language. There I recommended you to go with Python. So in the Python, we have two very powerful libraries, that is pandas and numpy. And why these are data exploration libraries? Because using these libraries, we play with the data, we explore it, like how accurate it is, how many fields are populated, and we used to perform different level of aggregation just to do the initial checks or to explore the data, how it looks like. That's why understanding of these two powerful libraries is going to be very important to play with data, to play with data frames and perform basic operations. So this one is again very important. Next one would be understanding of data warehousing concept. So this is again the part of your roadmap. And why it is important? Because in the data engineering domain, you will be working on different business use cases where you should have a clear visibility of a data warehouse for a particular given problem, like how those tables will look like, how they are connected with each other, what kind of behavior they are following. So there your data warehousing concepts comes into the picture, and what all basic things you need to cover, like OLAP versus OLTP, dimension tables, fact tables, star schema, snowflake schema. And you also need to practice some warehouse designing questions as well, because sometimes in the interviews, interviewer can ask you, for an example, like design Amazon e-commerce. So there you need to think like what all particular tables you will be using to design its warehouse, what will be the dimension tables, what will be the fact tables, and how you are going to create the star schema and these things, because these are the blueprints which we will be following before creating any data warehouse and make it usable for the production. So let's move on to the next one. This one is going to be interesting and very important for you, because again it is about the data engineering and it is about the big data. So definitely we need to cover important tech stack frameworks of this big data ecosystem. So let's go. First, the very important Apache Hadoop. Here, like understanding Apache Hadoop from architecture perspective is really important, because in the interviews there will be lots of questions around this architecture. Plus, since Apache Hadoop was the first framework which came into the picture for the distributed data computation, so that's why it is the base of all other distributed computation engines which came after Hadoop. So understanding it from architecture perspective is really important, and it has three main components: HDFS, MapReduce and Yarn. So deep dive into it very thoroughly and understand Hadoop really well. Next one, Apache Hive, and what all you need to cover in the Apache Hive. This is again a very important and popular framework which gives you the feasibility to write your logic in the SQL format, and under the hood it will compute it on the distributed environment in the form of MapReduce code. So that's why it's very important to know about the Apache Hive, because it is very widely used. And what all basic things you need to cover, like how to load the data in different file formats, what are internal tables, external tables, and how to basically query the data, because in the Hive those tables will be created on top of HDFS. So you should have a good understanding of querying the data. Next one, partitioning, bucketing, map side join, sorted merge join, UDFs in Hive, SERDE, serialization, deserialization in Hive. So these are very important topic of the Apache Hive framework. Next one, very important, very demanding in the big data domain and in the data engineering domain, Apache Spark. And what all things you need to cover in Apache Spark, that is Spark Core, Spark SQL, Spark Streaming. So these are the important things you need to cover in this framework. And next we have again some important frameworks listed down here: Apache Sqoop, Apache Nifi, Apache Flume. So let's move on to the next part, that is the workflow scheduler dependency management. So as a data engineer, on day-to-day basis we will be creating some scalable optimized data pipelines, and those data pipelines are just nothing, some business logics which we need to run on the some source data and dump it into the downstream system. So these data pipelines, obviously we need to run it on daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, like whatever the frequency of it. So to run it automatically and to automate these pipelines, we should have a workflow scheduler and dependency management kind of framework. So for that, we have two very popular and the most widely used, definitely Apache Airflow, and next one is Sqoop. So these are the two important frameworks which are being used as workflow scheduler and dependency managers. So that's it. Next one is your NoSQL databases. It is again very important because those transactional databases and NoSQL databases are going to be part of the data pipelines. So it's again very highly required skill set. And in the NoSQL databases, I have listed down few very popular, your HBase, data stacks, Cassandra, Elasticsearch, MongoDB, and there are many more NoSQL databases which are being used based on different use cases. If somebody wants to take my opinion for NoSQL database, then I would say go with Cassandra because it is very awesome NoSQL database to work with and highly scalable. Now let's move on to the next part of the roadmap, that is messaging queue kind of frameworks. So in the data engineering domain, sometimes you will be working on batch data processing, you will be working on real-time data processing as well. So to work with real-time data processing, definitely you should have some sort of messaging queue kind of frameworks as well, because they follow pub/sub kind of model. So whatever stream of data is coming from the source, these messaging queue will store it, and at the end side consumer will consume it to process the data. So that's why to build those real-time systems and real-time pipelines, you should have a good understanding of these messaging queue kind of frameworks as well. And the very popular Apache Kafka. Let's move on to the next part, that is dashboarding tools. So this one somehow again very important thing, because you will be working for different customers, different business use cases. So whatever transform data you have produced based on your data pipelines, whatever business logic you have implemented, so before giving it to the main customer or before delivering it to the customer, you should check it, like whatever you have transformed or produced, whether it looks good or not. So the business teams or the end customers, definitely they will visualizing the data to find the patterns and to analyze it very quickly. So again, it's very important to mimic the same thing, like whatever you have produced, whether your bar chart is perfect or any heat map you created or any pie chart you have, line chart you have created, the data is looking good or not on that dashboard. So that's why the understanding of these dashboarding tools is again very important. So for that, the popular one used in the market like Tableau, Power BI, Grafana, Kibana, so you can definitely go through with it. So now let's move on to the very last part of this roadmap, big data services in cloud. So here I have covered it for the AWS, because from the very beginning I have used AWS services, and we all know like the market for AWS is very wide. Like most of the enterprises are using AWS as their cloud providers. If somebody is interested and working with other cloud provider like Microsoft Azure, GCP, then definitely equivalent services are also provided there. So you can explore it and work accordingly, but I will definitely cover these things for AWS at least. So like on-demand machines, like I was talking about Linux machines, Unix machines. So on the cloud, how you can use it or how you can work on cloud commodity machines. So we have AWS EC2 service which will help you with that. Next one, access management, because there will be case where you have to grant different level of authorization to different users. So definitely you should have a kind of service which can do it for you. So we have AWS IAM for storing and accessing credentials like DB credentials or usernames, password. For that we have like AWS Secret Manager, and I was talking about distributed file storage system. For that we have AWS S3. And if you want to spin up any transactional database, then we have services like AWS RDS, AWS Athena, AWS Redshift. Next one, if you are looking for NoSQL database, AWS Dynamo, it is again very popular in the market and widely used. Next one, I will talk about the serverless architecture. There you have AWS Lambda. Next one is ETL services like AWS Glue. So to write your business logic and to make them compute on distributed environment, definitely you need a inbuilt environment and setup where you can only code the things and rest of the things are taken care by the framework and the service itself. So we have AWS Glue here. And next one, I was talking about like triggering the jobs and scheduling the workflows. So in AWS, we have AWS CloudWatch to do that thing. So that is the complete data engineering roadmap for the fresher. I hope you have watched this video till then and didn't miss any important part of this roadmap. So after watching this video, you can follow this roadmap to go step by step. And again, in the beginning, I mentioned do not jump on very advanced things because you cannot do so many things at a single time. So follow this roadmap in step by step process. It will help you to understand things very nicely. So that is my recommendation again. And still, if you have any kind of doubt, feel free to put it in the comment section. Join me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram and Discord server, and whatever are the important resources, important materials which you can follow to study these things, I have mentioned it in the description box. So make sure to check that out. So before ending this video, make sure you like this video so that it reaches to the wider audience, and definitely do not forget to hit the subscribe button so that you are updated with all the latest videos on eLearningBridge. So till then, just stay safe, stay home, take care of yourself, take care of your family too. Enjoy these holidays, enjoy this year end with your family, and Merry Christmas.